Hello and welcome to Exclusive Interview, coming to you from the studios of AD4TV Radio, Abuja, Nigeria. My name is Stanley Bentu. Now, if someone walked up to you and offered you an opportunity to leave Nigeria for good and to make a new home for yourself in Canada, would you take it? And if so, why? Let's have a look at this report.
A study was conducted by the Africa Polling Institute to investigate the motivations for Nigerians seeking to migrate to Canada in order to identify the push and pull factors underlying the recent upsurge in the number of Nigerians exploring Canadian migration options, which we have termed Canada Rush. In the last few years, the number of Nigerians seeking to emigrate to Canada has maintained an upward trajectory. Canadian migration policies have also in the last few years made the country emerge as an attractive destination of choice for many Nigerians compared to the United Kingdom with its imminent pre- and post-Brexit implications and the strict immigration policies of the current United States administration. There are evidences to suggest that these categories of Nigerians are not the ordinary poor Nigerians, but they are the highly skilled, well-educated, mostly employed and upwardly mobile group of individuals who constitute the middle rung of the socio-economic class of the country. And there is no doubt that the continued exit of this class of Nigerians would have significant effect on the country's intellectual, manpower and skills base, with attendant impact on the country's national development, as well as its social, economic and political well-being as a nation. On Exclusive Interview today, we get a detailed breakdown of this study from Dr. Bell Ihua, who heads the Polling Institute.
I recently had a chat with the executive director of the Polling Institute, that is Dr. Bell Ihua, and here's how it went. Welcome back. Well, at this point, I would like to bring in the managing director or the executive director of the Africa Polling Institute. His name is Dr. Bell Ihua. Dr. Bell? It is a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Stanley. It's always a pleasure having the sessions with you.
Always a pleasure. Now, so many Nigerians have been leaving the country, and the interesting thing recently is that the place of destination is Canada. And you did a research on this.
That's right.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so lovely. Our study was called Deconstructing the Canada Rush. And it came from our observation. So there have been anecdotal evidences of people in church, in social gatherings, in the family, in schools. You hear that people are leaving the country. People are applying through one scheme or the other to, emigrate, to leave Nigeria and go and live with their family elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And we thought that someone needs to do the heavy lifting to understand why is all this happening. What's the motivation behind those trying to leave their country to a different country? Nobody really wants to leave their country if things are right. There must be some factors behind it. And we came up with two classes of factors, one called the push factors that are sort of pushing Nigerians out, and also the pull factors that are pulling and attracting Nigerians. So those are the two factors. But as you know...
But first of all, I think I would like us to be clear about the kind of the exit strategy. Okay. For want of a better term. There are people who leave the country irregularly. Mm-hmm. That's irregular migrants. But we're talking right now about legal migrants.
Yes,
people who approach different countries and say, hey, we want to become citizens of your country, or at least we want to build a life for ourselves in a different country than our own.
Very true. I mean, the two hotspots used to be the United Kingdom, the UK, and the US. Mm-hmm. But, as you know, there are pre-Brexit issues and post-Brexit issues that made United Kingdom no longer as attractive as it used to be. Mm-hmm. And of course, we currently have the immigration policies of the United States government, which people do not find very attractive. But now Canada has got a somewhat favorable immigration policy that's sort of serving as a pull factor, attracting people from all over the world, not just Nigeria. And of course, you have loads of Nigerians who are applying to these schemes.
It's interesting because you and I have discussed before about where Nigerians are going when they migrate from this country. Once upon a time, the United States was the goose that lays the golden egg. But you're telling me now that according to this research, this is no longer so, as of today.
That's right. As of today, the destination is Canada. And the destination is Canada, as I said, because two classes of reasons. One, there are these push factors. So there are 5 main reasons why there are Nigerians considering these options of moving with their families abroad.
Tell me what those reasons are. Why are Nigerians leaving their country?
So the first reason Nigerians are leaving is for want of greener pastures, better opportunities. One can be asking, what does that mean? And this is from 75% of those who we sampled. People say we are leaving this country because things are not certain. The economy is fragile, it's weak, and we hear reports on a daily, weekly basis that some people have been laid off here, certain people have been laid off here. This organization has just let 200 people go, or 150 people have been let off here, and people are wondering, is this what we are going to be expecting if the economy is weak and our business is not gaining traction as we want it to gain? The odds are that very soon it may get to us, and we don't want to wait until it gets to us. That's the first. The second reason, about 60% of that population are those who consider the heightened state of insecurity and violence in the country. I mean, we've been talking about this forever. Certain corridors of the country now, certain express roads have become kidnap zones, have become death traps, and when these things happen, there's no one you can run to. So this heightened state of insecurity is one. Then the third really is about the future, for a better future for my kids. We found out from this study, I mean, there are two sort of age demographics here.
Two different groups here that we're talking about.
The 18 to 35 demography, who are more concerned about career opportunities, who do not think that Nigeria holds enough opportunities for them to explore. That's one. Then there is the 36 to 60, the really adult, and we notice that group of people are living more because of the heightened state of insecurity and for a want of a better future for their children.
For their children.
So they're looking at the educational system of the country. And the world is talking AI and artificial intelligence. The world is talking robotics. Is the Nigerian educational system ready for this? Fast forward 15, 20 years' time, are we, with the current state of education, going to have our children match shoulder to shoulder with others from other parts of the country?
Now, I think that this is a very interesting part of your research.
That's right.
Because you have two different age groups, and they're leaving for two different reasons. You have people who are under 35, or between 18 and 35, who are leaving because they want jobs, and they want perhaps some education, better life. And then you have the 36 and above who are leaving, and this group are not just leaving as individuals, they are leaving with their families in tow. And the reasons why they're leaving is because they want a better future for their children, and because they are scared of the insecurity in this country. So these are people that ordinarily would have made a future for themselves in Nigeria.
I'll tell you something, Stanley. The group of people we see leaving this country at the moment to Canada are not the poor. The poor are not here. The group of people are the upward mobile, the middle class, highly skilled, educated, and mostly employed, who are leaving certain jobs in Nigeria and taking up the golden fleece of going to Canada. So,
and I think this shows it. You're talking about opportunities, insecurity, children, the future of children, education, and then 35% talk about poor governance, business prospects 12%, and family reunification
I'll give you an example.
3%.
I'll give you an example. For a family of 4 that wants to leave Nigeria to Canada, it costs an average of 1.5 million. I'll give you a quick breakdown. You have to get the 2 adults to write IELTS exams, test of English language, cost 75,000. The 2 adults 150,000. You need to get medical reports, cost about 30,000 per person. Medical reports for the family of 4 That's about 120,000 for 4 persons. Now you need to get your police reports done for the 2 adults. You have to do that cost you about 20,000. You need to get something called the ECA. ECA is the accreditation of your Nigerian certificates, so it can be adaptable in Canada. That costs 60,000 per person. 2 adults, 120,000. Now it comes to the point of application. You have to apply. The cost of application is 550 Canadian dollars. You apply for yourself and your spouse. You've brought out over 308,000. Then the next, while you're doing that, you also need to apply for what is called the permanent residency. That costs 490 Canadian dollars. Put that together, is over 200,000. So before you finish that whole process, you've spent about 1.5 million. But that's not all. You also need to have proof of resources. For that family of 4, you need to have 23,000 Canadian dollars in your account. That's 6.4 million. If it's just 2 persons traveling, you need to have 15 to 16,000 Canadian dollars. That's about 4.2 to 4.5 million in your account. Then when you go through
basically,
process,
you can count all of this.
You need to buy tickets.
So what we understand is that the people who are leaving are not people who are liabilities to Nigeria. I think on the opposite, these are people who could be assets to these to this country. People who are upwardly mobile. They're educated. They're intelligent. So first of all, I want to talk about what Nigeria is losing.
Okay.
Not too long ago, I think a couple of years ago, the Minister of Labor and Employment actually said he was not worried that a lot of doctors were actually leaving the country. He felt that Nigeria had enough doctors. I disagree with him, but here we are. Nigeria is, you can talk about brain drain, you can talk about brain gain. Canada is gaining from what Nigeria is losing. Isn't that what's happening here?
Well, that's not just only what's happening. I mean, Stanley, you remember, we've come a long way. In 2018, I led a study in this country that showed that 8 out of every 10 Nigerian medical doctor was already planning to leave the country.
That's right.
If you remember that study which I led. And we have seen from this study that not just medical doctors are leaving, ICT professionals are leaving, engineers are leaving, teachers are leaving. So you have the critical mass of your intelligentsia, if you will, of your productive base. So there are huge implications for brain, brain waste and for brain loss, because we are giving out our best to Canada. So take, for example, you're a medical doctor, you say registrar level or just consultant level, you earn about 120,000 to 150,000 naira every month. On a daily basis, you see sometimes you could see possibly over 100 persons in the hospital, depending on how busy that is. Move to Canada, and that same position, you see much fewer people in a day. You can see 5, sometimes less than 10 people a day. You earn 1.8 to 2 million naira every month, the equivalent of that. So
that's part of the pull factor.
Exactly, those are part of the pull factors attracting people. So much as you may want to say you are a patriot, you want to remain home, and you start hearing these conversations from your friends, and they start sharing with you and telling you, this is what I'm earning, this is what we are doing. I think at some point you need to begin to have a reflection and say, is this really, how long am I going to do this 120K kind of work for? Or talk about engineers, talk about ICT professionals, and the list is on and on.
People who want to do an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, and they feel that if they apply their talent in this country, they will not be rewarded. These are the people who are leaving.
In the words of the Ghanaian president, Nana Akufo-Addo, he said that these people are not leaving because they want to. They are leaving because they feel that their country does not provide the opportunities that they need to thrive and to live peaceably. Most people just want a peaceful life. You don't want to be in your house and you can't sleep with 2 eyes closed. You don't want to stay in your house and you are told that there's kidnapping going on somewhere or there are attacks going on somewhere. So when you consider these issues, we also found that there are mothers or wives who also put pressure on their husbands and say, listen, with what is
Let's do
happening
this.
now,
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there, but there are lots of Nigerians who have already crossed the shores of this country and started a new life for themselves in Canada. But how well have they fared? Well, this research actually takes care of that. And when we come back, we'll be hearing from Dr. Bell Ihua as to exactly how well Nigerians have done, those Nigerians who have left the shores of this country. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
If I have opportunity to leave Nigeria, no, I will not leave Nigeria. I love my country. My reason, I'm a Nigerian.
I think Nigeria is okay. The only thing is that the management, that is our rulers, they are not doing well. But apart from that, the nation is very, very okay. You can get whatever you want.
Do you have a ceremony or an occasion you want covered? If yes, contact us to give you on parallel 702 033 3444. AD4TV Radio, reliable and credible. Learn on the go.
I will be willing to leave Nigeria for any sane society if I have the opportunity, because Nigeria is at the brink of collapse because of a bad government.
One way I will go without delay. I will leave. I'll leave Nigeria on a good faith. If you have the way, please show me. I want to go.
Welcome back to exclusive interview, and we've been having a chat with the executive director of the Africa Polling Institute, Dr. Bell Ihua, and we've been talking about Nigerians who are moving to Canada to, well, realize what would have been the Nigerian dream, which recently has turned into the Nigerian nightmare. Dr. Bell, let us follow up on some of these Nigerians who have taken that chance and have moved to Canada. What percentage of those, according to your research, have actually done well or have discovered their dreams, and what percentage have not? Maybe not so much.
Well, great question. We actually asked that question, to respondents. We say, so in retrospect, thinking back and now thinking through your decision, do you think you made a good decision to relocate with your family to Canada? 59% of that population said it has been an excellent decision. In fact, the best decision
that is an overwhelming majority.
Overwhelming majority.
Who believe that this was the right decision.
And we have 38,
and their children.
Exactly. And we have 38% who said it's been a good idea so far. It's been a very good decision that they've made. So
59 plus 38.
Yes. So you're talking about 97% of who are happy with having moved out of this country. And let's put it on record. It's not as if they're going there to do odd or menial jobs. They're going there to get good jobs. They're going there to get professional jobs where they can apply their skills to the economy and know that for a good day's job, they are getting a good day's pay.
Now, speaking of that, I think, and I want to move on to how much Nigeria may be getting as a result of this, because maybe not all hope is lost. But before I do that, recently, President Trump of the United States announced a immigration visa ban on Nigerians.
In part due to this terrorism threat, on Friday, President Trump announced the suspension of immigrant visas for Nigerians because Nigeria has room to grow in sharing important national security information. I'm optimistic that's going to happen. In the proclamation, President Trump highlighted Nigeria's importance as a strategic partner in the global fight against terrorism and recognized the government's commitment to improving information sharing with us.
And Fareed Zakaria actually gave an analysis where he talked about 59% of Nigerians living in the United States who are degree holders and are people who hold white-collar jobs, not blue-collar jobs or any of that, who are mid to high-level managers and all of that, contributing to the U.S. economy. And that is as against 33% of degree holders who are American citizens. So Canada is targeting Nigeria's finest. The U.S. has decided, at least for now, to pass on Nigeria's finest. Do you see Canada actually benefiting from that, especially in the light of what many Nigerians have accomplished outside of the shores of this country?
You're absolutely right. Canada is already benefiting from it. And I'll give you some stats. So first we started with the literature review. So the literature review shows that as of 1980, there were 81 individuals, Nigerians, who had been given Canadian permanent residency. In 2006, that was the first Canadian census that actually identified place of original origin, showed that we had about over 11,000 Nigerians by 2006 that had been given permanent residency. 10 years after that, by 2016, the numbers showed that over 52,000 from just 11,000, over 52,000 Nigerians had been given permanent residency in Canada, and the number keeps going up. So there's no gain saying that Canada is benefiting massively from this. Doctors, engineers, social workers,
Professional Nigerians.
Yeah.
So the United States has closed its doors to professional Nigerians, but irregular migration is still going on.
Yes.
So basically they're going to get the kind of Nigerians that they don't want, and maybe that lends credence to Fareed Zakaria's argument that this policy perhaps makes no sense. But you're telling me that Canada is going to benefit from that.
Canada is already benefiting from it. And we see this benefit in two ways. So one, Nigerians who are moving, who are applying to these schemes. I mean, when we did our literature, we found over 15 schemes that Nigerians can apply. There's the temporary residence scheme, there's the permanent residence scheme, there's the federal skilled worker scheme, which is called express entry, which most Nigerians are going through. There's the provincial nominee scheme, there's the self-employed scheme, there's the refugee and asylum scheme. We also have the northern immigration scheme. We have the Quebec skilled worker scheme for the French-speaking Quebec areas. So there are over 15 schemes.
So Canada has designed these programs to attract the most skilled, the most intelligent,
precisely,
and the most innovative Nigerians.
Precisely, and these schemes are point-based. It's open. It's transparent. And do you have a degree? You get 5 points. You write 5 points. Have you got your IELTS? Did you have a good score? You get your 10 points. You get your 10 points. Does your spouse have a degree? If she does, she gets a 10 points. It's point-based. Everyone can see what it is. So even before applying, you know if you have the points or not, and you know you're going to get it. I mean, your 3 to 9 months period of applying, you know it's done, and that's really what.
So I can see why this is attractive, and we are, of course, I'm regretting the value and the quality of Nigerians that we're losing to this.
But of course, there are implications for financial remittances.
Yes, there are things that we are gaining from this, and this is the financial remittances. And you asked about that in your research.
Yes.
So what were the findings there?
So stats from CBN as of 2018 showed that the financial remittances from Nigerians in diaspora hit $25 billion.
$25 billion.
And this was up from $22 billion in 2017. So between 2017 and 2018, there was an additional $3 billion. So there's a
which is almost equivalent to our foreign debt.
There's a huge inflow from Nigerians who are living abroad. So we did ask this question: do you send money home to those Nigerians who are already in Canada? 81% of the population of those who we spoke to, of the sample, said yes, we send money home. How often? In fact, 43% say they send money home every month. So what this tells us is that there are Nigerians who live here because they have family members living abroad. It reminds me of a study we did in 2017 on irregular migration, sponsored by the German embassy, I believe, which we had to travel to places like Benin and Agbo. And in the banks in Benin, you would observe that the queue for Western Union money transfer was the longest queue than any other queue in the bank, because the folks who were regulars are coming to collect money from
but what that tells us is that, and I think this reflects in your research, that when Nigerians leave the country, they're not leaving because they hate their country.
That's right.
In fact, if anything, they're leaving because they love their country. They still maintain ties to their country. They still, in their hearts, identify as being very Nigerian, but they're looking for opportunities so that they can send money back home and better the lot of their
So we even asked them, what do you do with the money? What's the money you send home for? Well, the bulk of that, the money they send home comes to family upkeep, to support their family members here. The second is charity, to support people who are in need. Brother, send me money. Uncle, I'm in need, my school fees. The third are those who are having business investment. Fourth, those who are building projects going on in various parts of the country for them. And fifth, to support some education of some people. So yes, you're absolutely,
but then the fourth and the
right.
fifth, that is business investment and education. Shouldn't that be at the top?
Well, it should be at the top, but the reality of what Nigeria is that we're a close-knit family society where people live off their relatives who are abroad. There's nothing we can do about it. People call their relatives and say, brother, I need money, and they have to send. And some people have even created a system where they put their family members of parents, for example, on fixed monthly income. So every month they have to do a transfer that someone will have to go and pick up for them to sort out the home bill.
Okay, but
what's
impressive as this is, it doesn't make up for what is lost. Nigeria is losing its best brains.
True.
Once upon a time, and I'm looking at your figures, 97% to Canada, 59% to the United States, 43% to the United Kingdom, and those are just the top three. Nigeria could have used the talents of all these people who have left the country.
True.
We are a country of 200 million people. What do we need to do to keep our best brains here? Because we need to do that. I don't know whether there's a sense of urgency with our political leaders or whether they realize what we're losing. And we've been talking about brain drain forever. We're not even talking about it anymore, but it's a big problem. What do we need to do, in your opinion, to keep our best minds here so that they can work and help our country become an economic powerhouse?
Well, this study identified three things that need to happen. First, it's a realization by every Nigerian that the countries which we're running to, the Canada, the UK, have been developed by the decision of citizens to make their country a better place. So the onus of making your country a better place lies in your hand. It lies in our hands. And that's why, someone said to me, Bell, why are you not you? I said, I'm back. I came back because I wanted to contribute to the system. We must realize that it's our responsibility to make the country a better place. That's one. Two, the government needs to understand that the economy currently is weak, it's fragile, and a lot needs to be done to jumpstart this economy and make the economy thriving. Someone said to me, this government does not understand what it means to run business. You just open your shop that you want to do business, you see people coming to lock up that they're coming to collect tax and all of that. There are loads of...
So you feel almost as if you've done something
exactly.
wrong.
There are loads of
a business
of bottlenecks in the business environment that's not making business thrive. We were in Lagos. We were supposed to be, investigating this issue of Go-Kada and Uber drivers being arrested. I mean, this is innovation brought into the country to help create jobs. Thousands of graduates who have looked for jobs, don't have jobs, are part of the Okada riders under the Go-Kada platform. And you put a new policy, and you put these thousands of graduates back on the street. I mean, you need to do a bit of research as a policy maker to be able to bring about such a policy. So there are issues around the economy, but beyond that, there are issues around security. The service chiefs need to do something to rejig the security architecture of this country to provide effective security services to every single Nigerian. As it stands today...
Could it be beyond them? Could it be things that needs to be a responsibility that needs to be shared between the executive and the legislature and then trickle down to the service chiefs?
Well, absolutely. But at the end of the day, where does the onus lie? The onus of protecting every Nigerian citizen rests on the desk of the president. And of course, the security chiefs are working for the president. There have been clamor for the security chiefs to be replaced. Till now, nothing has come out of that. But the point is, whether you want to retain them, whether you want to let them go, insecurity has heightened in this country, and there's need to nip it at the bud before it balloons out into something we can handle.
Dr. Bell, I think what you have told us is that the insecurity situation, it's not only lives that we're losing, we're also losing intellectual content, and we're losing some of our best citizens. I think that the work you do is very important.
Thank you.
I would like to encourage you and look forward to hosting you again, where I hope that we can talk about database decision making.
Thank you, Stanley. I'll be more than glad to come back. Troy.
It's a pleasure. That was Dr. Bell, the Executive Director of the Africa Polling Institute. If you're old enough to remember Andrew, that was a character played by actor Enebeli Elebua in a national orientation advert in the early 1980s during the Buhari military regime. Andrew was shown at an airport slinging his traveling bag over his shoulders, complaining about no light, no water, and then speaking that unforgettable line, "Man, I'm checking out." Now, a hand holding a national flag grabs him by the shoulder, saying, "Don't check out." This later informed a line in Veno Marioge's popular song, Nigeria Go Survive, in which she sings, "Andrew, no check out." Today, a new generation of Nigerians who were either children or not even born at all when Andrew was declaring his exit from the country are leaving Nigeria in droves in search of better lives in countries like Canada. But Canada's gain is Nigeria's loss, because those leaving are not just a basket of deplorables. They're precisely the kinds of citizens that Nigeria needs if it's serious about transforming itself from third world to first within a generation. Policymakers in Nigeria, if they love this country at all, have their work cut out for them. They would need to succeed in these key areas. Number one, leaders and policymakers need to find a convincing way to make Nigerians believe that it's our responsibility to make our country succeed. It takes a conscious and deliberate effort to do that. And this effort goes beyond mere use of slogans and radio jingles. Nigerians need to truly believe that they will be rewarded for honest hard work and good behavior. Number two, former US President Bill Clinton broke this point down in such a basic and fundamental way when he said, "It's the economy, stupid." Now, his point was that there is no path to progress that is possible without economic growth. And not just growth in terms of GDP and reserves, but growth in terms of how many everyday people can live quality lives while aspiring for something even better for their children. In two words, financial freedom. Number three, Nigerians love to do business. A good standard of living can be stimulated through a stable macroeconomic framework, but also structural policies which encourage free market, innovation, skills, and business development. If the government stops policy flip-flopping, new jobs can be created as industries expand and new firms start to grow. Net job creation is typically led by a small number of young firms. Policymakers can support this by encouraging technological innovation and capital formation backed with sound policy and startup financing, while promoting networking between companies and firms. And finally, the overlying challenge of safety and security needs to be looked at. An economic boom cannot happen without those two critical elements. And anyone in office must not only understand this, they have to internalize it. The criminal justice system is in desperate need of reform. Impunity must end. For the police, an increase in personnel, training, reorientation, equipment, funding, and intelligence gathering using data and technology. For the courts, judicial reform to conclude cases much faster. For the prisons, well, we need some reform to move from the punitive to the corrective. But political leaders bear the bulk of responsibility to solve the fundamental issues, which are the remote causes of conflict in Nigeria. Well, that's it on today's edition of Exclusive Interview. Join us again next time. And until then, thanks for stopping by.